Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Making it for water, easy, see some for Charlie. Little boo for God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like I looked at a wild flag. And play for dust and they play too deep for beach side. Little legs I got to be. Tell me your feature deceased with it, please. Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to hit.
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on July the 27th to SmackDown on July the 31st, as well as AEW's Redemption pay-per-view and SummerSlam's Night 1 and 2. Quick production note, I'm going to have to record Night 2 of SummerSlam separately from this, so if you feel like maybe after I get done with Night 1 and transition into Night 2, sounds like I'm in a different mood or sound like I'm if it just sounds weird or changes a little bit, I do have to record them separately because luckily SummerSlam is starting early enough to where I'll be able to record part 2 immediately after the show pretty much. So it works out that way. And I appreciate Jake for being able to merge the two together. But just quick note, just in case it sounds a little different or weird or something like that. But I am going to start with the Redemption pay-per-view as it was Sunday before, or I recorded obviously before the show. So we're going to open the week with that. We open the show. Mike Bailey wins the ladder match to become the number 1 contender for the international title. Obviously, he is the hometown boy, so he gets the big hometown win here. The other participants in this ladder match were Commander, the Beast Mortos, El Clone, Jack Perry, and Nick Wayne. We then go to the Young Bucks defeating Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley when Will stops Mox from using a chair, and the chair is then kicked into Will's head. The Bucks then hit the BTE trigger and follow it with 12 super kicks on Jon Moxley and get the pin. We then have Kyle Fletcher retain his international title over Bandito via pinfall, following a brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. We then have the double chain match. The Dogs defeat the Bang Bang Gang team of Jay White and Juice Robinson when David Finlay is able to get the shillelagh to knock Juice Robinson out and get the pin. The Death Riders, I think it was Garcia and Yuta, if I remember correctly, had taken out Jay White, so Juice was kind of alone by himself with the other two dogs. So we then go to the backstage. Will Ospreay is worried about Nick Jackson and the beating he took in that match. Moxley comes in to yell at him for not pulling the trigger. This is wrestling, and Ospreay has one chance at the top, and he has to do it. If Ospreay won't pull the trigger, Moxley will do it for him. We then have Maya World becoming the new TBS champion. She defeats Hikaru Shida via pinfall with a bridging fall-away slam kind of pin combination. I believe I've read that it's called a tabletop suplex or a tabletop slam or something to that effect. So I'm going to go with bridging fall-away slam, though, because that's going to kind of what it look like. We then have the Demand cut a promo backstage. They want to challenge the conglomeration for the trios titles on Dynamite. We then have our tag team title match. Cope and Cage retain over the Death Rider team of Pac and Claudio Castagnoli. Cope hits a pop-up spear on Pac to get the win. After the match, the Young Bucks come out and they pretty much just signal that they want the tag titles, and that's all it takes for the match to be officially made for All In. So Cope shakes both Bucks' hands, but Cage doesn't quite seem as into the idea. We then have the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, defeat Tommaso Ciampa via submission when he hits the Judas effect with an elbow pad loaded with tacks, and then he gets the drill that Tommaso Ciampa has been threatening him with over the last few weeks. He puts it to Tommaso Ciampa's head, obviously gives it a little zzz, and then before it can go any further, Tommaso taps. So it kind of gives up before his skull gets drilled into. So kind of a ridiculous match. It was fun for what it was worth, but obviously over the top with weapons and stuff like that. I enjoyed it, but definitely a little over the top there at the end. We then have Andrade El Idolo become the new national champion, defeating Mark Briscoe via pinfall following the DM. We then go back to Mike Bailey in the back. He wants his international title match at Grand Slam Mexico on August 5th. So obviously this upcoming week on August 5th. Willow Nightingale then defeats Tekla via pinfall when she ducks an attack and grabs a backslide pin, and she becomes your new women's world champion. So it will be her versus Mercedes Moné at All In. And then we have our main event where Kenny Omega retains over Kevin Knight via pinfall when Omega gets his knees up on a UFO splash attempt. He then hits the V-trigger and one-winged angel. After the match, the Death Riders run in for a beatdown and cut off the Young Bucks who are trying to make the save. Will Ospreay then comes in to stop a stomp onto a chair and even shoves Jon Moxley away. Moxley gets back inside and offers Ospreay a chance to hit him, but the chair is thrown down instead. Moxley then pulls out the plastic bag. Ospreay kind of freaks out at this. He hands it to Ospreay and gives him the opportunity to do it the Death Rider way, but Ospreay just tears the bag up. Ospreay knocks Moxley to the floor, and the rest of the Death Riders come after him, only for Moxley to call them off before it can go too far. With the Death Riders then leave, Ospreay then takes off his Death Rider's knee pad and throws it away before handing Kenny Omega the AEW World Champion. They shake hands and they pose together, but right after that, Omega gives him the one-winged angel, kind of turns on Will, and then the Bucks come in to pose with Kenny to end the show. So obviously somewhat, not really maybe a heel turn for Kenny Omega, but obviously gives little fuel to this match that was kind of just seeming like it would be a respect match going into it. So, but a solid show. Obviously, AEW does pay-per-views really well most of the time. Obviously, a touch too long, as per usual. That's just my opinion. It's going to be my opinion until they don't put 10 matches on a fight and make a card that's 5 hours. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's going to be a problem until they fix it, and I don't see them fixing it because they haven't yet. So I can't imagine they're just going to change their whole thing because I'm upset about it or anything like that. But solid card top to bottom. Fletcher and Bandito was definitely the best match for me, without a doubt. Omega and Knight was strong as well, but I just thought the back and forth action with Bandito and Fletcher captured my imagination a little bit more. So, but we will go to Raw from there. We have the Hell in the Cell being lowered over the ring, and Obafemi and Brock Lesnar, both flanked by a crowd of security and police. They come to the ring for the weigh-in for the Hell in the Cell match. Triple H and Adam Pearce are in the ring waiting for Femi, who comes in first. Femi comes out and weighs 302 pounds. We then have Heyman and Lesnar come out, but Lesnar comes out and locks the Hell in the Cell with the two of them outside of it. So they don't seem too interested in coming in and doing the weigh-in. Heyman says it's a bad idea for Lesnar to be inside the cell and list off Lesnar's resume. We hear about how great Lesnar is in the cell, and Femi is promised a beating. Oh, and they weighed Lesnar in the back, and he's 303 pounds. Femi is ready to fight anyways, but Lesnar will see him at SummerSlam. Femi says Saturday is coming, and he'll be ready for Lesnar. With Lesnar and Heyman leaving, Femi wrecks the security inside of Hell in a Cell. So Femi gets his pound of flesh in the form of the security guards. But obviously, Lesnar still playing mind games with Femi to really get into his head. We then continue the hype for Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. We get the kind of the video of their 2022 Royal Rumble match where Seth technically won by disqualification back when Roman didn't lose any matches. Roman got desperate and used the chair and got disqualified in that match. We then have the Vision. They defeat the Alpha Academy when Braun Breaker hits the Super Spear on Tozawa. After the match, the Vision continue to beat them up, but Otis is back up. Dupree offers a distraction, though, and a double power bomb out of the corner plants Otis. and then Theory cracks Otis with a chair before leaving him and Tozawa laying. But then at LA Knight, he has been accused of being paranoid, but look at how things have been going with the Bloodline. The goal is to put them in a hole at SummerSlam, and the BFT is just a fact of life. We then have Raquel Rodriguez and Sol Ruca. They're kind of supposed to be like looking at each other, but they're in different rooms. But it's like one's cutting a promo at the other one. The production of it wasn't exactly the best, so it kind of came off a little weird. But they obviously kind of just talk back and forth about how they're both ready to keep the title or win the Intercontinental title tonight. So. We have a lot of celebrities in the crowd tonight. We showed quite a few of them right after this. And then we go to a video of Chad Gable in Minnesota where he promises to win the Intercontinental title. He spent a long time doing everything he could to gain success, and it didn't work. And then he lost himself as El Grande Americano. Now, though, he needs to win the title because he is ready to represent himself, his friends, his family, and his state as he did in the Olympics. But he's doing it as a man, or as the man he always was supposed to be. We then have Io Sky. She is ready to prove Liv Morgan wrong once again and take her title at SummerSlam. We then have Javon Evans defeat Rusev via pinfall following an OG cutter. We then once again look at some more Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns rivalry. We see Seth Rollins helping Cody Rhodes defeat Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania 40. We then have a Joe Hendry and Danhausen concert. Joe Hendry obviously has his classic guitar, and Danhausen has this like very small but obnoxious organ that he's playing. And they start to sing a song about the Judgment Day, wanting Danhausen's human monies. They then sing about believing that you are cursed. We have the Mini-Housens come out, and followed by a bunch of, I believe they're the LA Clippers, like dance team that dances at their basketball games. They all come out in Danhausen mask, but they obviously take them off and dance along to the song. So we then have a boxer named Ryan Garcia. He has a big fight coming up. He's kind of here to promote that. He's one of the celebrities in the crowd. He comes in the ring. He seems to be kind of hanging out with them and kind of dancing along with them. He then grabs, there's actually an extra guitar in the ring, and he grabs it and he cracks Hendry in the back with the guitar. And then the Judgment Day runs in and beats down Hendry and Danhausen. And then the Mini-Housens also get beat up because they try to help Danhausen but fail a little bit. And Judgment Day ends up standing tall. We then get a shot of some more celebrities. I believe Ashton Kutcher was in this round of celebrities. So they show him with a NXT tag team title of all belts. I thought that was pretty weird. But then we get one more hype for Big Cass, who's coming back next week. Obviously, he won't. I don't think he's going to show up on SummerSlam tonight or anything like that. But August 3rd has been promised as his debut. So that will be tomorrow night's Raw. We then have Ethan Page. He gets his win back on Rey Mysterio from a few weeks ago. He wins following the Egoplex. We then have Liv Morgan. She thinks Io Sky doesn't know who she's facing at SummerSlam. Morgan is a girl who worked so hard to make it through NXT, and now she's here as the Women's World Champion. She cares about Io, who already beat her once, but Sky isn't in her head. Morgan is so much stronger than Io, and now it's time to remind everyone who she is. It kind of ends up being ridiculous, but her defense of the Women's World title last night at SummerSlam Night 1 was her first defense since she won the title at WrestleMania. Now, I think she came out of WrestleMania hurt, so it's a little not crazy that she didn't immediately defend it right afterwards, but the fact that she hasn't defended it in the weeks or months that followed is kind of insane. We then go to Danhausen and the Mini-Housens, who are banged up. So Adam Pearce comes in to say give Judgment Day the money back. Danhausen has an idea, though. Let's make the match between me and Dom at SummerSlam a human monies on a pole match. And Adam Pearce seems very confused by the idea of this match. And Danhausen says, "Have you never watched wrestling before?" Adam Pearce then makes it official and says he needs a drink after what he just went through. We then have the Usos come out, cut a promo. They run it back, obviously, and do the yeet and all that. They issue a warning shot to LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys for SummerSlam. Solo shows up in the crowd to say they don't have a chance at SummerSlam. Jimmy mocks Sikoa for suggesting he doesn't want to come back to the bloodline because it was the best thing that ever happened to his career. So Solo pops back with, what are you going to do to me? You want me to, you're sending me a warning shot, and my only choice is to go to the bloodline, or what? You're going to yeet me for 30 minutes? Sikoa isn't worried about Roman Reigns, and here is LA Knight to join things. LA wants things fixed up after SummerSlam because it's time to pay penance. He'll see them this weekend, or we can just do it right now, LA style. The brawl is on, so here's Jacob Fatu, who wrecks both of them until Royce Keys comes in to make the save. Sikoa then breaks up the Tonga Death Grip, and Fatu gets dropped with a trio of finishers. So the faces in this situation and actually end up standing tall. Solo Sikoa is getting a lot of hype and praise for this promo segment. He battled pretty well with his brothers, the Usos, in this one, and his new face character kind of goofing on everybody has very much gotten over with a lot of people over the following week, and I'm included in that because he does something in the SummerSlam match that was pretty funny as well. So face Solo has been a good thing so far. We then look at video of the Hell in the Cell and just the violence that it can bring, and how crazy and obviously the insane things that have happened in Hell in the Cell throughout the years, and all that kind of good stuff. So we just kind of see how dangerous it can be, and all that good stuff. We then go to Raquel Rodriguez becoming the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. She defeats Sol Ruca via pinfall after a barrage of interference from Liv and Roxanne, obviously. She gets tripped up. Sol gets tripped up going for the Soul Snatcher and smacks her head on the ring post, and then Raquel hits the Tejana Bomb. And like I said, Raquel is your new Intercontinental Champion. I'm pretty sure Raquel breaks her nose somewhere along the lines in this match, or she was bleeding pretty profusely from it at some point. So her nose was definitely busted up, but I'm fairly positive it was broken somewhere throughout the match. We then have a video kind of hyping up CM Punk versus Cody. Obviously, they're both on SmackDown, so this is just a way to kind of hype the match up without either of them having to really appear or anything like that. We then get another look at the Seth Rollins-Roman Reigns rivalry. We see their match from WrestleMania 41. Yeah, them versus CM Punk, obviously, in the triple threat match. I believe that was WrestleMania 41 at least. So, we see highlights from that. Obviously, Seth Rollins ends up on top in that match, and Paul Heyman obviously turned on Roman and Punk throughout that match. We then go to our main event segment, which is Roman and Seth. Roman comes out. He obviously says, "Acknowledge me," and as per usual, Seth Rollins pops out right after he says that. Rollins wants to be acknowledged, so Roman calls him an asshole. Rollins says he's guilty of that. He's fine with being the bad guy between the two of them because he wasn't born on third base. Reigns has a lot of advantages over Rollins, but the one thing he will never be is better at is a pro wrestler. Obviously, Rollins thinks he's better, a better pro wrestler than he is. No matter how Reigns looks at it, Rollins owns him. How is Reigns getting out of it this time? Getting disqualified, maybe call the bloodline. Reigns may need to beat him, but Reigns doesn't have a chance. Reigns calls himself the only real superstar and true champion around here. The whole industry needs Reigns to win, which has Rollins talking about what they need. Reigns needs the redemption, so Rollins says Reigns needed his family there to see it. This has Rollins thinking about WrestleMania 41 or 31 when WrestleMania 31, yes, when Rollins cashed in and sent Reigns' family home in tears. Rollins wants to see them cry again on Sunday, including Roman's children. The fight is on, and Reigns beats him up, including a spear. Reigns goes outside and grabs the chair and goes for a big shot, but gets stomped onto the chair to end the show. As far as best match for me on Raw, there wasn't a ton of wrestling on this one. Raquel and Soul wasn't the best match, I would say. It did have a lot of it probably got the most time, but Ethan and Rey Mysterio was probably the best match for me. Not the best night of wrestling for me on Raw here. We will move on to NXT from there. We open with a recap from last week's main event between Tony D'Angelo and Naraku. Obviously, Tony D'Angelo retained. And we had Mike Santana, now renamed Cruz Montana, debuting. So obviously he gets his new name. I believe I saw on Twitter where Santana said that Cruz is a kind of an homage to his father. I don't know if his first name was Cruz or if that was last name or something like that, but obviously that's some kind of homage to his father, who means a lot to him and he talks about a lot. So, and I'm assuming Montana was just something that WWE Creative came up with and obviously kind of paired with Cruz. So he does have that new name. We then have commentary kind of open the show, and we are cut off by a invading Grayson Waller, of all people. Talks about things he has done in WWE. Then things changed. What happened to him in the last 2 years? He's been doing nothing. Carried I can't remember how much Austin Theory weighs according to Grayson Waller, but he carried however much of dead weight for months and months, and then spent forever pretending to be at a funeral, obviously being paired with the New Day. He could show up to catering once a week for some salt and pepper chicken, but he's here to be the biggest star around. He has some unfinished business in NXT, and that is winning the NXT title. And he wants to make it mean something again, because obviously right now it doesn't mean as much as it used to. He asks who's going to stop him. The new guy, Cruz Montana, obviously kind of hypes him up as the top star in TNA, but says that doesn't mean as much as it did 20 years ago. Makes fun of that. Waller does say he loves the new name. Tony D'Angelo, he asks if he's going to stop him. Waller is going to send him back home to his new ugly baby. Obviously, I guess Tony D has had a baby recently, so obviously Waller makes fun of that. He says Shawn Michaels needs to send one of his guys out here to get rid of him. The women are running laps around the men of this place and mocks people who wrestle for a bit and then spend time in medical. So obviously really going in on the men's division on NXT, which is probably something that happened. He says there are independent stars who show up here and go nuts in the ring, but have no idea how to use a microphone. He knows Shawn is freaking out on the headset, but Shawn is smiling because Waller is speaking the truth. Waller's mic is then cut off. He then grabs the camera and says, "Consider your cages rattled." Obviously, Grayson Waller I'm a big fan of his from his initial run in NXT. I think they used him pretty well when he first went up. Obviously, him and Theory were a tag team. They win the tag team titles at WrestleMania 40. But then after that, I just don't think they used him to his capacity as the best in the best way that they could. They kind of randomly threw him with a New Day, which I think if they had plans for the New Day, it would have made a little bit more sense. But there was nothing really going on with him either. He just kind of ends up being a flunky. He kind of at the end just ended up being like just hanging out with Kofi because Woods was gone towards the end of their run. I think he had an injury of some sort, but I don't disagree with him being back down at NXT. Like he said, he had left unfinished business. He never became NXT champion despite being one of the top stars. I'm going to be real with you. I would go ahead and put the belt on him because Tony D's reign has been all right, but it's not anything inspiring. I think it would be good to make a guy like Waller a top heel, be kind of a shithead, be champion for a good little while, and then really build a new face up to take the title from him. Obviously, I don't know if that'll happen. I imagine Cruz Montana will be champion sooner rather than later. So if you want to kind of make Waller champion and then have Cruz obviously chase him up until that point, we'll see if that ends up happening. But I would give Waller the belt pretty soon and just let him run with it and kind of be a shithead heel going that way. But we go from there. Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne are ready to fight tonight when Mason Rook comes in. Rook doesn't like what Waller had to say, and he obviously has some leftover rage for Cam Hendricks, as Cam cost him a title match previously. So he's going to attack Cam. Tavion kind of says, let Miles handle him first, and then you can have him. And Rook seems kind of okay with that, but we'll see how it goes later. We then have Lizzie Rain defeat Izzy Dame via pinfall when Sean Spears shows up to take out Nico Vance on the outside. This distracts Izzy and allows Lizzie to hit the Thunderstruck kick. We need to really expand our name horizons in NXT because Izzy and Lizzie is kind of hard to say back to back. So Cruz Montana then meets Romeo Moreno and Noam Dar. Saquon Sugars comes in and he apologizes to the team for the loss last week. Montana remembers meeting Sugars and gets into it with him a little bit, but Sugars insists he's a changed man. He hopes Montana will see that, and Montana seems open to the idea. Kalani Jordan then comes in to tell Montana to not, he kind of tells her to be on the lookout for people taking advantage of him, and obviously this place not being fairly run and all that kind of stuff. And as she's kind of complaining about how she's been screwed in the past, Santana just kind of walks away and ends up not really listening to her all that much. We then go to the Vanity Project. They meet with Robert Stone and complain about possibly having to defend the tag team titles against Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. They aren't scared, but Keanu Carver then comes in and says he wants a match with EK Prosper next week. Stone agrees and says, saying that was way, way too easy for that to kind of go as smoothly as it did. Grayson Waller then calls Stone on the phone, and Stone wants him back in the building immediately because this is not over. We then have video on Lola Vice versus Kendall Gray for next week in the Underground, with Vice talking about how hard she worked to get here and how long it took her to become champion and how hard she had to work to get there. We then have Thea Hale and Jada Parker. They are both happy with how things are going. Parker thanks Hale for helping her last week, and they have a tag match next week against Natty's cronies, Nikita Lyons and Carmen Petrovich. We then have Miles Bourne defeat Cam Hendricks via pinfall following a Born Again. After the match, Tavion Heights, who had kind of been holding off Mason Rook, finally allows him to go to ringside. Rook goes after Hendricks, and then the Vanity Project comes out and jumps Bourne and Heights. That's quickly broken up, and the project are cleared out by the three men. We then have Lizzie Rain. She hypes up some KFC popcorn chicken. Tristan Angels comes in to say she needs a better role model than Shiloh Hill, because obviously with her eating KFC, that is who she is looking up to. So we then go to Zarya. She wants her next challenger, and Ren Sinclair comes in to say she wants her next challenger as well. Sinclair says that Zarya can have a shot next week, and if Sinclair or if Ren wins, she can get a future shot at the Women's North American title. We then have Birthright. They defeat OTM when obviously Bronco Nima has been involved in AAA recently. He's joined a group called Los Perros del Mal, and um, they come out. Some of the members of that come out. Angel and Berto are a part of it. They come out and kind of distract Lucian Price, who is his teammate, and that allows Stacks to score a kick to the head and get the pin. Then after the match, Price is not very happy with Nima because Nima seems to be splitting his attention between AAA and NXT and not focusing on OTM business alone. We then have Kendall Gray. She is training hard for Lola Vice's Underground. She has been training extra hard in amateur wrestling to get ready. Obviously, she was a very accomplished amateur wrestler beforehand, and she's going to use that to her advantage to win in the Underground next week and retain her championship. We then have Callie Armstrong. She wants a title shot, but Izzy Dame and Kalani Jordan come in to say not so fast, that the title shot should be theirs, despite them losing constantly. We then have Shiloh Hill defeat Tristan Angels once again. He wins via pinfall with a super Thunderbreaker. And then we have our main event segment where Cruz Montana comes out. He's worked hard to get here and wants to be the kind of star his daughter deserves. Along the way, though, he was told that he had reached his ceiling as a tag team wrestler. He didn't accept that and became the biggest star in TNA. Montana is grateful for TNA for everything he did there, but now he wants to show what he can do with the biggest names in wrestling. He wants to be NXT champion, and if he has to go through Grayson Waller, they can meet in any YMCA Waller wants. This brings out Tony D'Angelo, who introduces himself as the NXT champion. He's ready to show Montana what he'll do to keep his spot, and they're ready to go at it. Grayson Waller that comes back out with Montana swinging for him, but hitting D'Angelo obviously on accident. The three of them then stare at each other to end the show. So obviously it seems like maybe a triple threat is somewhere down the line. I believe Heat Wave is coming up sometime in August, fairly soon. So we'll see. We'll see when that match eventually happens, if it is a triple threat or if it's just two of these guys going one-on-one. But as far as best match for me, again, a lot of kind of talking and stuff like that in this episode. So maybe not as much wrestling, just kind of hyping up towards the next big show for NXT. But Lizzie and Izzy, once again, best match for me. So definitely check that one out. But we'll go right from there to Dynamite. We look back at the Redemption World Title match with Kenny Omega retaining. After the match, Will shook Omega's hand, but Omega ends up laying him out, like I said, and Jon Moxley was not pleased because he warned Will of this, and Will did not listen. Will Ospreay ticked off, shows up, immediately runs into the Death Riders. Daniel Garcia goes to kind of talk some trash, and he gets dropped with a, you can call it a hidden blade, but he pretty much just back elbows him into a wall. Pac has to be held back, and Moxley asks if Ospreay really wants to do that. Ospreay gives Moxley the Death Rider patch that he gave him a few months ago, and then they let him walk past. He doesn't want to talk to Renee, who keeps trying to ask him questions. He runs into Hangman Page, who offers his help in any way Ospreay needs. Ospreay says he can't trust Kenny right now, so he can't trust Hangman either. While he appreciates the offer, he has to do it on his own. Hangman then kind of stops him from walking away and says Ospreay is going to be the best at All In. He says Ospreay has this, and Ospreay is appreciative before he goes inside. So Hangman believes in him and says he will help in any way that he possibly can. We then have a national title triple threat. Andrade El Idolo defeats Nick Wayne and Jack Perry to retain his title. He hits the DM on Nick Wayne to get the pin. After the match, Andrade says he's happy to have screwed MJF, taking his ring, and Don Callis, just in general, taking one of the titles from his family. He's feeling tranquilo, though, and is ready for the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. Shivani asked him about his qualifying match next week in his hometown of Mexico, and Andrade just hits him with how you know. So I believe he's going to be facing Tommaso Ciampa next week in the Mexico show for the #1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet at All In. We then have the Brawling Birds. They are ready to beat up some on Athena and her minions on Collision. We then go to Don Callis. He's with his family. He knows you take losses on occasion. It's time to move forward. This seems to include Kyle Fletcher and Kevin Knight teaming up, though Fletcher doesn't seem impressed. He says the title will always stay in the family, but Kazuchika Okada comes in to agree, with Fletcher not being so happy about Okada's kind of eyes darting towards the international title that was previously his. We then have Brodito and Mike Bailey. They defeat the Don Callis family of Kyle Fletcher, Jake Doyle, and Brian Cage when Bailey hits the ultimate weapon on Doyle and then traps him in an arm trap pinfall attempt. We then get a sit-down interview with Cope and Cage and the Young Bucks, who are set to face each other at All In. The Bucks families are coming to England for the match, and it couldn't mean more to them. Cope says it means that much to them too, and they are glad to see the Bucks and FTR bringing tag team wrestling back. Cage says they're not here for the greatest hits tour, and they're still the best tag team of this generation, not just the previous. The Bucks talk about being the most accomplished team in AEW history, but they had to fight their way back to the top. Cope doesn't want this to be a comparison game because they lost a combined 17 years of their careers and didn't win a tag team title for 25 years. Matt says that the Bucks are going to becoming harder, faster, and stronger than ever, and the champs will be lucky to get on the board. The Bucks are used to being told that they're too small and don't do the right stuff. They have never had the machine behind them, so they're ready to win the title match at All In, and the champs are ready to retain as well. So a pretty good segment there between the two teams. Maya World then defeats Persephone via pinfall following the tabletop slam or the fallaway cradle, whatever you want to call it. We then have Mark Davis. He is mad about his title loss and wants to get back by beating Will Ospreay next week. We then have Willow Nightingale come out for her big championship celebration. And she obviously gets a big "You Deserve It" chant. Willow Nightingale is obviously kind of moved to tears from this. She's not just living her dream, but she's living the dream. People look at a girl like her and see someone who doesn't quite fit in because she's quirky, a little chubby, but the fans seem to appreciate her anyways. After saying the makeup artist worked very hard and it's being ruined by the tears, she talks about how much she has accomplished this year, but she did get hurt and was out for a little bit. Her mom told her to keep fighting, so here she is, having gotten into the casino gauntlet and then beating a toxic champion. She's ready to go to All In, so Mercedes Moné comes out with the contract to interrupt. They both go quickly to sign, and Nightingale talks about how Moné must be upset that she wasn't getting the attention for 5 seconds, or maybe that it's that Nightingale has the one title that Moné can't get. Moné is sick of Willow always having her name in Monet's story. The fans do not want to hear it, and Moné keeps saying she made Willow. Megan Bain and Lena Crosland come out, and Moné takes out Willow's knee. This brings out the Brawling Birds and Moné and the Divine Dominion, obviously, bail. We then have Jon Moxley defeat Commander via submission with a Bulldog choke. Mick Foley then is with the Bang Bang Gang, and they want any combination of the Dogs and Death Riders to face them on Collision. And Jay White is ironically not there, seemingly probably out injured once again. We then have the Demand defeat the Conglomeration when Ricochet hits the Spirit Gun on Orange Cassidy after some interference from the Lethal Twist, and the Demand are now your new Trios champions. The Death Riders are ready for Will Ospreay, who always try to leave. They say Will is always tries to leave when things get hard. Jon Moxley also mentions that he is ready for the Continental Cup, which is something that we will hear about on Collision a little bit more. We then have Kenny Omega come out for the main event promo. Before he can get more than a few words out, though, Will Ospreay comes out to interrupt. Omega says what he has to say really doesn't need to be heard by the people because it's personal and just for Ospreay. It's time for show and tell because at Redemption, Omega showed Ospreay how he felt the 1 Winged Angel. Now it's time for the tell part, because they had a promise to give it their best. That's why Omega let Ospreay enter the Owen Hart Cup on his own, but then Ospreay started hanging out with the Death Riders. Ospreay talks about coming back from injury too soon, and all he cared about was revenge. So who was he supposed to turn to? The only one around was Jon Moxley, because he was the person who could get him to the world title. Ospreay liked the feeling of being a Death Rider because it was like being in Japan, but he doesn't share the Death Riders' philosophy at the end of the day. That's where it ends with the Death Riders, but Omega talks about how he was ready to be destroyed at Redemption. He got up and saw Ospreay holding the belt in a torn plastic bag. It took Ospreay so long because he was thinking about doing it, and Omega slaps him in the face. Omega says he thought Ospreay was his friend, and Ospreay says he was. Omega accuses him of always crumbling under pressure, and the fight is on, with Omega bailing from the threat of a hidden blade. With Omega gone, Ospreay talks about how this is what he has wanted the whole time, and it's so close that it's time for the penalties. And if you know anything about England, you know they're not great at them. But he has the entire country on his back, and he is ready to come through and score that goal. Ospreay is going to pull the trigger at All In, and he is going to make sure that Omega sees it coming. So a really, really strong segment in the show. Obviously gives us a little bit more juice than maybe it had before going in. So definitely an awesome segment that you should check out if you hadn't seen it already. As far as best match, again, another show where it was a lot of exposition and talking and stuff like that, really hyping up or starting the initial hype to All In. So the national title triple threat between Andrade, Nick Wayne, and Jack Perry was the best match for me. We go straight into Collision from there because Collision was on Thursday, obviously not trying to compete with SummerSlam on Saturday. But they are in Detroit, and we got our hometown debut of the Motor City Machine Guns. So they have officially joined AEW, and they waited for them to be in Detroit for them to debut. And Chris Sabin asked if you thought they wouldn't be here. This is where the best wrestle, and Alex Shelley says that in more ways than one, they are home. Obviously, they're home in Detroit, and they're home, and they feel in AEW, and they say they are officially all elite. We then have a trios title match. The Demand defeats the Rascals when the Gates of Agony open the gates on Desmond Xavier to get the win. The Conglomeration aren't happy with their loss last night and losing their titles, but they are going to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge with some special guests in Detroit later on tonight for Rebel, who obviously is fighting a battle with ALS right now. We then go to, it's been a few weeks since the last tournament ended, so it's tournament time. We hear about the Continental Cup, which is a 16-person tournament with the brackets randomly being drawn every round. The finals will be for the Continental title and a cup, and the finals will take place at All In. So Jon Moxley will basically have to defend his title in a 16-person tournament. And it's kind of like the Continental Classic, but it's obviously just kind of a bracket-style tournament instead of a round-robin into a kind of final couple of rounds at the pay-per-view. So I kind of hate how they do this, that Moxley has to defend his title throughout the tournament, basically, because he is going to make the finals. It's just a matter of who he faces. So I wish they would just kind of do the tournament to determine the number one contender, and then that person faces Moxley at the pay-per-view, because there's zero upon zero chance that Moxley doesn't make to the finals of this match or of this tournament. So it will be a way of figuring out, how Moxley gets there and who he ends up facing. So we'll see what ends up with that. But another tournament, the Continental Cup, coming soon. We then have Tommaso Ciampa defeat Nick Comoroto via pinfall following a running pump knee. We then have Hangman Page in the back. He says he needs something to do, and Brody King and Bandito interrupt him to thank him for last night, kind of saving them from getting beat down. Page thinks that they should challenge for the trios titles next week in Mexico City. Bandito dubs them the good, the bad, and the ugly with the suggestion that Brody King is obviously the ugly one. So kind of a funny little line there from Bandito. We then have the Brawling Birds and Hazuki defeat Athena, Billy Starks, and Diamante when the Birds hit 2 birds, 1 stone on Diamante. After the match, the Divine Dominion of Lena Cross and Megan Bain come in to go after the Birds, and they brawl for a little bit. So obviously that's continuing to set up that match for All In. We then have Ricochet and the Demand with the Lethal Twist, and they say they are down to face Rodito and Hangman Page next week in Mexico. And then Conglomeration come out to do the Ice Bucket Challenge, and the Insane Clown Posse and Rhino are the ones that are coming out to pour the ice. The ice is poured, and the fans obviously chant for Rebel, hyping her up in her journey with the disease that she is currently has, obviously. We then have the Bang Bang Gang of Ace Austin, Juice Robinson, and the Guns defeat the Death Riders of Moxley, Garcia, Yuta, and Claudio when Robinson reverses a Yuta roll-up into one of his own to get the win. After the match, the Riders jump Juice, and then the Dogs come out as well to jump the gang. Motor City Machine Guns then run in with chairs to make the save and kind of run off all the bad guys. We then have Tommaso Ciampa. He wants in on the Casino Gauntlet and says he is facing Andrade for the number 1 spot. He isn't interested in the national title because he wants the big belt instead. We then have Chris Statlander defeat Aurora Tavares via pinfall following Saturday Night Fever. Kyle Fletcher and Mike Bailey are ready for their title match on Dynamite, but Fletcher jumps him, and they go into the arena and battle around. Fletcher's belt shot misses, and Bailey is able to clear him out of the ring, and basically, obviously signals that he's going to be champion as of next week. We then have Kevin Knight on behalf of Kazuchika Okada and Hechicero. They issue a challenge for a 6-man team of any former world champions for Dynamite, so we'll see what that ends up being. Commander then defeats Jay Lethal via pinfall following the Cielito Lindo. Will Ospreay then defeats Daniel Garcia via pinfall following a hidden blade. After the match, Ospreay goes to leave, but gets choked out by Mark Davis. The Don Callis family comes in and beats on Ospreay, including a pile driver on the floor. They then take him inside for some chair shots, but Ospreay fights out and clears the ring with the chair. Ospreay wants his match with Mark Davis to be a street fight and sits down in the chair to end the show. And Ospreay and Garcia was the best match for me. I know I say this a lot, and I say it pretty much every episode, but if Ospreay's probably in a TV match, especially on something like Collision, if they're rolling him out for a Collision match, it's probably going to be really good. And it did not disappoint in this scenario. We then go to Impact. We open with a recap of last week's world title match and the setup of tonight's international title match. It will be our main event. Ricky Sosa and Leon Slater defeat the System of Alexander and Edwards to open Impact when Slater hits the Swanton 450 on Alexander. After the match, Slater issues the challenge for the X Division title at Lockdown, which is coming up fairly soon. Mustafa Ali wants the rest of Order 4 here for a meeting right now. John Skyler tries to go find the other members, but gets distracted by Mila Moore. Ali then just yells a lot at Skyler. And we kind of go on to our next segment. The Elegance brand is ready to win, with Heather isn't sure what happens if she faces M in the Knockouts TV title tournament final, because they are on a crash course to possibly face each other for the title at the end. The personal concierge, though, is not worried. We then Impact does a cool thing where they pause to wish Rebel, who has been on the TNA roster before. Obviously, Rebel is fighting ALS, like I said, on Dynamite and Collision. But she was previously part of the TNA roster, so they wish her good luck in her battle as well. Indy Hartwell then defeats Thea Hale via pinfall following the Hurts Donut. Indy advances to the TV title semifinals to take on M by Elegance. M obviously got a bye due to the Wendy Chu and Elena Black draw in the first round, so Indy will take on M in the semifinals. We then have AJ Francis. He takes up a collection for Expressions after he got attacked and taken out last week. Rich Swann and BDE are not wanting to contribute to the cause. So a little dust up there for a little bit. Casey Navarro that comes out, got a promo. He says last week was the biggest chance of his life as he challenged for the TNA world title, but he did end up coming short. He has tried for his entire career and wants to be an inspiration to people. After hearing that he'll never be anything for years, he knows that he belongs and his career is just beginning. The system then come out to interrupt him with Cedric Alexander turning down Leon Slater's challenge for Lockdown. Ricky Souza and Leon Slater don't get another match either, but Navarro interrupts, saying this is his time to get out of here. Obviously, they beat him down, and Souza and Slater run in to make the save. Allie kind of panics because she can't find Rosemary, and they have a title match later on tonight. But Daria Ray doesn't want to hear it and tells her to get out there for her match against the Elegance brand. Zaya Brookside attacked Wendy Chu and Elena Black last week because she could. Wendy Chu then comes in to call Brookside a coward, so Santino comes in to make a title match for next week. Elena Black then comes in to tell Chu to shut Brookside up next week and get the title away from her. We then have the Elegance brand. They actually defeat Allie, but it's via DQ, and Allie hits Mr. Elegance, who tries to come in and interfere with the title. She ends up hitting Heather with it as well. And then after the match, Allie also takes out M, so pretty much taking out the entire Elegance brand by herself. We still never see Rosemary, so we'll see if that continues to be a thing going forward. We then have the Hardys. They have on goat mask because they are the goats of tag team wrestling, and they're these like metal weird kind of goat looking mask. They have a shirt that has goats on it as well. Matt confirms that he loves cheesesteaks. They are in Philly for this taping, so they brag about their win over the Righteous last week, and after shouting out the Walking Dead spinoff member Amy Garcia, who is in the audience, says it's time to start wrecking some people. They invented the TLC match, but here are the Nemeth brothers to interrupt. The Nemeths want a title shot at Lockdown, and here's Santino Marella to make the match. And Nick is going to defend the world title against Jeff, or to make the match. And it is Nick defending the world title against Jeff and not a tag team title match. Ryan then gets to face Matt next week and goes to hit on Miss Garcia. She throws a drink in his face, and Amy Garcia comes in to celebrate with the Hardys when it's all said and done. AJ Francis then continues to collect money. He runs into the hometown man. He's not paying anything due to a case of hatred. So here's Elijah, who gets a cage match with AJ Francis at Lockdown instead. Daria Ray then tells Santino Marella that it's Rosemary and Allie versus the Elegance brand at Lockdown. They both think they need to find Rosemary, but they also need to trim some fat on the roster. And Daria Ray suggests cutting Harley Hudson, but gets shut down. So we'll see where that continues to kind of go with all of that. Jada Stone then defeats Jody Threat via pinfall with a roll-up out of nowhere. This advances Jada Stone to the semifinals of the TV title tournament as well. She will either face Mara Sade or Heather by Elegance in the semifinal, so we'll see what kind of happens there. And then Jason Hotch wins the main event, defeating Mustafa Ali via pinfall following a frog splash to become the new international champion, so defeating his boss basically. So pretty huge win for Mr. Hotch. Absolutely fantastic match. Probably, maybe, possibly one of the matches of the entire week. I would say probably for sure my match of the week. But absolutely fantastic. Mustafa Ali is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He desperately needs to be the next world champion for this company. But Hotch gets his big opportunity here. Obviously, Ali puts over one of his cronies or whatever you want to call them. But Hotch is an awesome wrestler. Really they faced each other before. I thought the match back then was fantastic, and this did not disappoint at all. And Hotch, after the match, celebrates with his family. His family was in attendance. His daughter and his wife get in the ring and celebrate with him to end the show. So If you don't watch any other match that I talked about tonight or right now, definitely go out of your way to watch this one because it was really fantastic. We will then go from there to SmackDown. Finn Balor gets things going. He says around this time of the year, he always thinks back to 2016 about how it was the peak of his career. The next day, he was right back down at his lowest point. Now it's 10 years later, and he is close to getting back to the top. This brings out Sami Zayn, who respects Balor, but knows that he should be in the main event instead. It should be a triple threat. Sami Zayn calls out a fan's sign saying that he wanted CM Punk to retain, but because Punk is now just a corporate poster boy. He wants to take the title from someone who stole it from him, but Balor wants Zayn to come say it, something face to face. That brings Zayn to the ring. While he respects Balor, this is a lot bigger than him. Balor brings up trying to get back here for 10 years, with Zayn responding that if it took 10 years, maybe he should just take the hint. Balor points out that it took Zayn 10 years to get to the title, and he never gave up. Zayn isn't going to fight him though, because he's a good guy. Instead, we have Gunther then come out to jump both of them because he is the rightful number one contender. Adam Pearson comes out with Gunther asking what he needs to do to get what is rightfully his. Balor and Zayn then are up to go after Gunther, but he fights back against the two of them. Nick Aldis then goes after Gunther and even gets him in the King's Lynn cloverleaf for a little bit before he escapes. So obviously a segment that kind of sets up obviously gets some final hype to two matches. Obviously this gives a little juice to the Balor Zayn match because it's kind of just a number one contender match, but obviously this makes it a little bit more personal in the long run. We then have B-Fab and Michin defeat Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green when they hit the BTA on Green to get the win. Charlotte then comes out after the match, and her and Jade Cargill go after it as the other four kind of brawl around ringside. We then have Fraxium and Rey Fenix. They are here and run into Judgment Day. Phoenix versus JD McDonough is set for the AAA Cruiserweight title later on tonight. The Tongans, or the Tongas, whatever you want to call them, talk about being too obsessed with doing Solo Sikoa's dirty work and getting involved with his issues, and they ignored what they were supposed to be doing, and that's winning gold. This brings in Haku, who is obviously their father, and he wants his sons to remember who they are and go back and become champions once again. Speaking of them, after this next match, they come out, but Damian Priest and R-Truth versus the War Raiders ends in a double DQ when chaos kind of breaks out, and the ref is kind of pushed to the side. After the match, they continue to brawl into the crowd, but the Tongans then come out and wreck both of them, and they hold up not only the WWE tag titles, but the AAA tag titles as well. And Haku comes in to obviously seemingly approve of what they did here tonight. We then look at CM Punk and Cody Rhodes almost getting into a fight on a house show last night. CM Punk kind of grabbed Cody from behind, and Cody delivers kind of a back elbow, and they kind of have to be held apart after that. We then go to Punk. He knows that he and Rhodes have been friends for a long time, but now it's time to fight, whether he's a friend or not. Trick Williams then comes in to say he's coming for Punk's title after SummerSlam, and Punk likes that idea, but he'll beat Trick when that ends up happening. So obviously welcoming the idea of having new, fresh challengers, but also saying, hey, I'm the best, so I'm going to beat you anyways. We then have Nick Aldis. He talks about how his first dream was to be a wrestler, and we hear about some of his time in the ring, including a look at some of his success in TNA. Then he was offered the chance to be the GM of SmackDown, and he was ready to give it his all. Then along comes Gunther, and now he's going to be a wrestler again, and he's going to give everything he has to Gunther on Saturday. We then have Trick Williams. He comes up for a promo. He isn't happy with Baron Corbin coming back with a shaved head all polished up, looking like a big-ass Tommy Pickles. Trick wants and receives Corbin out here right now. Corbin promises to make Trick feel like he's in quicksand. Trick says they both know Corbin isn't doing anything, so he wants to fight right now. And of course, Baron Corbin starts to kind of come towards the ring, but of course says no and says we'll see him tomorrow. He'll see him on Sunday. We then give some final hype for Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar in the Hell in a Cell. Just obviously showing their rivalry to this point. We then have Rey Fenix retain his Cruiserweight Championship from AAA over JD McDonough when he hits the Mexican Muscle Buster, gets the pin. We get another really long video for Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, hyping that up some more. Lash Legend then defeats Julia via pinfall following a Lash extension. Lash gets the last spot in the ladder match with this victory, so it will be Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Charlotte Flair, and Lash Legend. I don't remember if I said Lash already, but there are 5 of them. They will be in the match going for the interim championship to face Rhea Ripley down the road when she comes back. We then have Cody Rhodes come out for a final promo. Before he can do the whoa in his entrance music, CM Punk's music hits, and he walks right past him. Pats Rhodes on the head while he walks by him in the entranceway. Punk brings up the elbow to the face at last night's house show, but Cody suggests that Punk getting a title shot in Chicago was quite the lucky situation, and kind of makes fun of that as well. He has asked what the crowd wants to talk about. Punk says he isn't about to say no and talk like a bench player like Sami Zayn, who thinks he's a starter. If he's offered a title shot in Chicago, of course he is going to take it. For SummerSlam, though, Punk has to know who the better wrestler is, for business purposes. Rhodes hits, obviously talks about the meaning of the title that Punk is wearing. He brings up Punk's line about being here to make money instead of friends. Punk says it might not be a good Saturday for Cody when it comes to losing a friend. Cody doesn't want to worry about Saturday, so let's see what we're doing tonight. They take their time sizing up each other, and the fight is on. The brawl goes outside, and they fight on the announcer's table and on the floor to kind of end the show. So pretty good final hype to that match that happens on Saturday night, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Again, another WWE show of a lot of talking and a lot of promos and stuff like that. So not much wrestling happened here on SmackDown. SmackDown before these big shows is kind of like the final hype towards that. So they show a lot of video packages, have a lot of promos, obviously finish the show with a promo. So Phoenix and JD McDonough kind of by just mere fact that it was a match that was given time, is the best match of the night for me on that show. So I will just do a general best match for SummerSlam after I watch tonight's show. But I will cover night 1 right now before, like I said, having to cut out for a little bit, hopping back on later on tonight when the show's over. We open night 1 with a video hosted by Minnesota Viking Justin Jefferson. Talks about the effort that everyone puts in to get here, with their focus being on the training to get to the moments that they have here tonight in front of them. Liv Morgan then opens the show. She defeats Io Sky via pinfall, following back-to-back Oblivions. She hits 2 in a row and retains her Women's World title. We are showing Mark Henry, Sean Waltman, Dan Spivey, and Jimmy Hart in the crowd. They obviously show some legends throughout the show on these big pay-per-views as per usual. So we see them showing up in the crowd. We then have Solo Sikoa, Royce Keys, and LA Knight. They defeat the Usos and Jacob Fatu. When Solo Sikoa spikes Jimmy, kind of takes him out, and LA Knight hits the BFT on Jay to get the pin. After the match, Knight obviously hugs Sikoa as a thank you, because Sikoa obviously very clearly could have turned and joined with his bloodline brethren after the match. We then have Gunther. He defeats Nick Aldis via submission with the sleeper hold. Obviously, Aldis tries to fight it off, but eventually succumbs to the sleeper hold. because Gunther just is latched on and won't let go. After the match, Gunther leaves after his victory, and then Mickey James and their son Donovan gets in the ring and celebrates as the crowd chants for Nick Aldis and tells him he's still got it. So there's a lot of that. We then have Fatal Influence defeat Paige and the Bellas when JC hits the rolling encore on Paige. After the match, Fatal Influence leaves and the Bellas turn on Paige, lay her out, and Nikki looks into the camera and says this is a lesson to never take her spot or try to take her spots, because obviously Paige jumped in for Nikki at WrestleMania and they were tag champions for the last few months. Throughout the match, Brie Bella seems to have hurt her shoulder. I don't think I've heard anything necessarily for sure whether she has a torn rotator cuff or separated shoulder or anything like that. So I don't quite know what the situation with her is. Obviously, the Bellas are going to go at it as heels, obviously get the tag run that they were supposed to get coming out of WrestleMania. So we'll see if they become champions again. We'll see if this leads to a match with Paige getting a new partner, possibly AJ Lee, running back the WrestleMania 31 match from forever ago, obviously. 11 year a rematch 11 years in the making. That was kind of the last match that one of the last matches AJ Lee ever had, because she disappeared not too long after that. So like I said, we'll see. Brie may be out for a while, so Paige and Nikki may have to team up at this point. So they may retcon it or something like that. But like I said, we'll see what happens with all that, with injuries and everything going on with that. But we then go to CM Punk. He defeats Cody Rhodes via pinfall. When Randy Orton returns, RKO's Cody. Punk then obviously didn't see any of this. He was on the outside recovering. Comes back in, hits the GTS, and retains his WWE title. And then we go to our main event where Obafemi defeats Brock Lesnar via pinfall in the Hell in a Cell. When Brock tries to use the chair and Femi punches it out of his hands, and then he hits the fall from grace to get the win. They had exposed the mat at a certain point, and I think the finish was supposed to be him power bombing him onto the wood slats that were kind of exposed, but they kind of were out of position when the spot started, and I think by the time Femi really got him up, he didn't want to, obviously, he didn't want to have to step over the mat that was kind of rolled up in front of him and possibly trip and ruin the spot. So he ends up just kind of power bombing him in the spot that they're at. So he doesn't quite do it on the wood, and the finish comes off kind of. I mean, it did come off bad because he kind of just dominates him at the end, but it could have come off a little smoother and maybe a little better in kind of how they intended. But still a really awesome match, really awesome spots and throughout and stuff like that. Maybe not the greatest Hell in a Cell, but definitely put over Femi as a huge star, and really is going to hopefully ascend him to the next level. So that'll wrap up night one. Obviously, night two is coming up later tonight, and I will talk about that a little later on. But that'll finish up for now. We'll see you for part two. All right, we're back for night two. SummerSlam just ended about 20 minutes ago. awesome show from start to finish. We will get into night 2. Happened on my birthday. Today's my birthday. Happy birthday to myself. Thank you all for listening. And obviously, we covered night 1 earlier. We will finish with night 2 here to end the week. We actually open with what was supposed to be Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. But Nick Aldis comes out and makes an addendum to this match. First, he makes it a triple threat match, introduces his opponent from night 1, Gunther, as an added person into this match. Gunther gets into the ring. We think the match is about to start, but Nick Aldis pops up one more time and says, actually, not only going to add 1 person to this match, but I'm going to add 2 and make it a fatal 4-way to see who the number 1 contender is going to be. And that 4th person was the returning Kevin Owens. So thought to maybe be out for the rest of his career with a neck injury. I think we always kind of thought he was going to come back. It wasn't like Big E, where we kind of knew he wasn't probably ever going to come back. But it was kind of up in the air. I don't think it was for sure one way or the other. But Kevin Owens comes back here. He is actually victorious in this match. It was a really awesome opener. It only goes about 8.5 minutes. But it was a solid back and forth between all 4 guys. Everybody got their shine in. But Kevin Owens ends up hitting the stunner on Sami Zayn, and he is the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. He didn't look scared to do any kind of bumps. He did multiple swantons. He took some pretty good shots in this match, so wasn't afraid to get in there and mix it up. So really awesome match. Really awesome to see KO back. You feel emotional for the guy, happy that he is able to get back in the ring. Hopefully he can have a pretty extended run here, but obviously if he's kind of on borrowed time with the neck, hopefully he can have a really solid final run here. So, but we'll see what him and CM Punk can get up to. Obviously he is now the number 1 contender. We go from there to our United States title match. Baron Corbin actually defeats Trick Williams in this match via pinfall. So Baron Corbin is your new United States champion. Probably one of those stinker matches of the weekend. Like I would say yesterday, the 6-woman tag was, I think it was good for what it was. I think it was better than maybe some people were expecting, but it was definitely the worst match of night 1. This was by far the worst match of night 2. Because everything either did what they were supposed to do or was really, really good. So, but yeah, Baron Corbin is your new United States champion. We then go to our 5-way ladder match for the interim women's WWE Women's Championship. We have all 5 women fighting kind of at the end. Tiffany Stratton and Lash Legend are on one ladder. They kind of get taken out at a certain point. We then have Jade and Charlotte Flair on one of the other ladders. And they kind of fight their way off together. Chelsea Green had kind of been taken out by Michin and B-Fab earlier in the match, and she was kind of just dangling from one of the ladders, kind of held up by her feet. She eventually, once everybody's kind of taken out, she kind of sits back up, kind of pulls herself back up onto the ladder. She climbs quickly, and Chelsea Green wins your interim WWE Women's Championship. So I feel like this may be kind of a way for them to say they gave her the big belt without really giving her the big belt because, I really love Chelsea. I think she deserves a big moment like this. I'm glad she got it here. But I don't realistically see her even really challenging Rhea all that much. Hopefully they have a solid match whenever Rhea comes back. And hopefully, obviously, Chelsea hangs on to it for that long at the same time. Because I don't think we really have a timetable on when Rhea is going to be able to be back. Hopefully it's soon. Hopefully she just wasn't going to be able to be cleared by tonight. But I don't anticipate Chelsea beating Rhea, but hopefully they at least have a really good match. But awesome moment for Chelsea. Happy she got this big win. She obviously, I think Matt Cardona was in that front row when she won, and they got to embrace and all that. So good moment there. We then go to our human monies on a pole match. It was comedy fodder. It was kind of what it was supposed to be. Some people think it's dumb. Some people hate it. I mean, if you think it's stupid, it's kind of supposed to be stupid. I think that's kind of the whole point here. I can get the opinion that Dominic Mysterio is your AAA champion and he shouldn't be particularly booked this way. I kind of wish he wasn't in this match either, but he plays it up well. Danhausen ends up getting the win. He doesn't pin Dom, so Dom doesn't lose like via pinfall or anything. Danhausen gets up and gets the money. The Minihausens were involved. Joe Hendry comes out to kind of ward off JD McDonough. So Danhausen defeats Dominic by going up and getting the bag of money and tosses it to the crowd after the match. We then go to our Intercontinental title match. Chad Gable gets the big hometown win. He's from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He defeats Penta and becomes the Intercontinental champion. Penta had a phenomenal run as the champion, had a lot of great matches on Raw throughout the months. Defended it at WrestleMania successfully. But Chad Gable gets the big win here. He gets him to tap to the ankle lock. I thought it was a solid match. I don't think it went about 11 minutes. I think if they had maybe gotten about 4 or 5 more minutes, it could have really hit another gear. But I definitely think they have more in the tank that they could unleash if they were given a bit more time and a little bit more time to cook. I think it definitely was really good, but I think it could have been great. Maybe if given 3 or 4 more minutes. But after that, we go to our main event. We get a big video package before, laying out all their history, all the times that they face each other, the Shield, all that kind of stuff. But Roman Reigns ends up defeating Seth Rollins via pinfall to retain his World Heavyweight Championship. He hits 3 spears. He hits 2 super spears, actually, and then he hits just a regular spear to kind of really finish him off. Phenomenal match. Roman Reigns just knows how to work this style of main event. Like, you put him in there with pretty much anybody. He got a 5-star match out of Punk at WrestleMania, or a damn near 5-star match. I don't know that I would necessarily go 5, but I know Meltzer did, and I know a lot of other pundits did as well. But Roman just knows how to have these kind of epic main event matches. It kind of doesn't matter who he's in there with, unless it's seemingly his family. He didn't seem to have too great of matches with them. But this was my match of the weekend for sure. I thought Roman really knocked it out of the park, and Rollins is a good dance partner for him. But he retains the belt there. Phenomenal match. Awesome SummerSlam. And yeah, it ended an absolutely epic week of wrestling. I hope everybody enjoyed SummerSlam. Hope everybody enjoyed the show this week. And that'll wrap it up. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next week.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy, I'm the cult of personality, the cult of personality, the cult of personality.